Kendall, how are you today?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Pretty good. I just want to remind you that all of our sessions are confidential. Nothing you tell me will I disclose to your parents or anybody else. And I just want to make sure you feel comfortable and safe in our space today.
Okay, thank you.
Another thing is, I always have my notebook with me. I just like to jot down what clients say, just so that I can keep track of stories and everything, as long as that's still okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
How was your week at school?
It could have been better. It's been a really stressful week. I have a bunch of tests coming up, and Mr. Swanson was just really mean to me in class.
Mr. Swanson.
Yeah, he really called me out in front of the entire class, and it made me feel really uncomfortable. And I didn't do my homework for his class that week because I was mad, and I know that wasn't the right thing to do, but it's just my only way of dealing with things. So, yeah, it's been a rough week.
I understand. So how are things at home?
I talked to my dad this week finally, but I wouldn't call it talking. It was more of arguing. He was blaming me for everything, getting mad at me, and I think he's taking out all his stress on me. And I kind of yelled back at him, and it's not fair that he's yelling at me. It's stressful on everybody. Like, the divorce is not just about him. Like, it's about all of our family. So
yeah.
But I mean, at least I got to talk to him. So
I understand. So you got to talk to him. It didn't go the way you really wanted it to go, but at least you got to talk to him.
Yeah, I mean, last week he was so busy that he didn't pay attention to me, so I guess I'll take it.
And how did that make you feel?
Not very good. It's just he's forgetting that this is a stressful situation for the entire family, not just for him, and it makes me feel like he doesn't care. And that's just a lot to deal with right now.
It's totally normal for you to feel that way. I know where you're coming from. I understand. Do you know what emotion it is? Like, can you identify what you're feeling, really?
I don't really know how to describe it.
Is it more of like a unsettled or frustrated feeling?
Yeah, I guess I'm more just worried about, who's going to take care of my brothers. I'm leaving for college soon, and I'm the one that drives them to school. I make them lunch. I help them with their homework. I pick them up from school. I take them to practice. Like, who's going to do that when I'm gone,
I know. It's completely normal to be worried about that. It's just your parents already knew you were leaving for school, so their divorce really didn't depend on who was going to take care of your brother. So I understand where you're coming from, but also I don't want you to worry about something that was kind of already planned out. Do you know what I mean?
I know, but it's just hard not to because I've kind of taken on that responsibility, and my parents are just so distracted. Like, they're just constantly fighting with each other, and when they're not fighting with each other, they're fighting with me. And I'm just trying to protect my brothers, and I don't want them to feel alone or have to deal with that on their own when I'm gone. Yeah, I also just kind of feel like this divorce was my fault,
Did they say anything like that to you?
No, not really.
So what makes you think that?
I don't know, they've just been so angry at me lately, and I guess I haven't been the best child. I've been partying, and maybe I've been drinking too much and getting myself into some trouble. I told you I skipped a homework assignment last week, and I know it's not helping, but I don't know why I'm acting like that, they just don't pay attention to me, and I guess that's my way of trying to get them to give me some kind of attention, because I guess yelling is better than not talking to me, right?
So you think your actions are causing their breakouts and fights and stuff like that?
I think so, because when they're yelling at me, then they start yelling at each other, because if my dad starts to yell at me, then my mom gets mad at my dad for yelling at me, but then if my mom gets mad at me, my dad gets mad at my mom for yelling at me. So that's why I feel like it's my fault.
So when these fights happen, how do they normally end?
Well, it turns into a screaming match, and then it usually ends with somebody slamming their door. So either my dad will run to his room and slam the door, or I'll get so frustrated that I just have to leave, and I'll either leave the house or I'll just go lock myself in my room because I just don't want to deal with any more arguing than they're already doing,
So slamming the door is kind of the way to just say argument over, end it.
Or leaving the house, really, just to get myself away from it. Or, my mom and dad are always fighting, so then they'll slam the door and they'll start fighting by themselves instead of fighting with me. Okay. So at least I can get myself out of there.
And when you leave, how does that make you feel? A sense of relief, or are you upset? What happens?
I mean, I'm not happy about it. I mean, I don't like to see anybody fighting. I don't like to be yelled at. I don't like to be told that I'm problematic or whatever. But then it makes me feel bad, and that's when I usually sit down and think about how I'm the problem, because they're usually fighting about something I did. So that's, it just makes me sit there and think, and then I overthink, and it's just never a good situation.
I'm sure. I completely understand.
I'm really just hoping that this divorce is for the better, and I keep telling myself that when I go to school, my parents are going to stop fighting as much because they won't be so focused on what I'm doing, and hopefully, even though they're going to be in separate houses, my brothers will be able to spend quality time with both of them, and there won't be arguing. That's my biggest fear. I don't want my brothers to have to be yelled at as much as I'm being yelled at right now, and I just want them to be able to like fix like their relationship. And I'm hoping that when the divorce is like settled and everything's finalized, that it'll die down and they'll be able to just spend time with each other, even if it's in separate houses.
That's a very positive way to think about it. When these things happen, these fights occur, there's upsetness in the house, is there anyone you can turn to, like a trusted family member, a friend, or someone at school?
You know, sometimes I talk to my friends at school, but they don't really understand what I'm going through because all of their parents are still together. They have like normal families, and you know, sometimes I'll talk to my grandma, but you know, she feels like she has to pick a side because it's my mom's mom, so she doesn't want to side with my dad if you know it's her daughter. So it just kind of puts me in a weird position where I feel like I can't really talk to anybody who understands it. So
I understand. Is there anyone at school you could talk to? Like, are you close with a specific teacher? I know you said Mr. Swanson before, or like a guidance counselor or anybody?
Yeah, definitely not Mr. Swanson, first of all. He's always rude to me. I mean, we have guidance counselors, but it's really hard to get an appointment with them, and you can't really see them. And I'm afraid that they're going to call my parents because I've just heard like stories from friends where the guidance counselors tell their parents things that they say are confidential. So I don't know if I feel comfortable going to them. I mean, I have a teacher that like I might be able to talk to, but I feel like a burden, so I don't really want to talk to her.
I understand, and that feeling's completely normal. If there's ever a time where we're not in sessions or in between sessions or something, and you need to turn to someone, a trusted adult such as a teacher, like you said, or your grandma, even though she might pick a side, it's very important that you have someone you can always turn to. Is there anyone in the community, like a mentor or anything that you talk to?
Sometimes I talk to my swim coach. We're pretty close because I've swam on that swim team for years since I was little. But you know, I don't see them every day, so it's like I can't talk to them every day. So if I need them when I don't have practice, then I can't really talk to them. I mean, I had like a very genuine conversation with my coach last week, and you know, he might not be able to completely relate to what I'm talking about, but he was able to give me some like really helpful advice. You know,
what could you pull from that conversation?
I mean, he was helping me figure out ways to manage my anger because, like I said, I like slam the door and I drive away and like it doesn't do anything. And I guess you know this was the swim coach and him like coming out, but he was like, come to practice, like exercise, take your energy out that way, and it'll help me like manage it better. So I gotta try that.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm glad you have that sort of relationship with him. Well, I see there's only a couple minutes left in our session. Is there anything you really wanted to talk about or plan for next weekend?
I want to make a plan for next week, but I really don't know what to do. You know, I want to make things better, but I just don't know how to go about that.
Well, since you had a conversation with your dad this week, maybe it would be beneficial if you sat down with your mom for a couple minutes?
Yeah, I mean, like, I want to work on things with my dad because I told you the conversation was only yelling. I want to see if I can have a conversation with him, like, as an adult and be able to talk. But then with my mom, like, I haven't really talked to her in a while, so maybe, you know, we can go get our nails done or go to lunch or something and just get away from, you know, my brothers and my dad and just, like, actually, like, reconnect because we haven't had any kind of genuine time together in a long time, so.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you kind of want to have some more genuine time with your mom. You want to talk to your dad again, try and have like a decent conversation without raising your voice or anything. You want to kind of keep your brothers out of it. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, I mean, like, I know that I don't want things to continue the way that they're going because everything's just constant fighting, and I know that my family's not going to go back to the way it was, and I don't want it to, I guess, because things were never really happy in my house, but I want it to be a new kind of normal, if that makes sense. Like, I want things to be not yelling all the time. I want to be able to have fun with my mom and my dad and not have to worry about doing something wrong and setting them off or scaring my brothers, so.
I understand. Well, I'm really glad you decided to come in this week, and I hope that talking things out was a little more helpful, and we can continue to figure things out. If you want to come back for another session next week, we can see how everything went and talk about how school was and how everything's going at home.
Yeah, definitely. I think our conversation today has really helped me feel a little bit better. I'm still a little bit worried about, you know, going to college, and I still feel like this is my fault, but you've made me like understand that, you know, it's probably not. I think it's just going to take a little bit more reassurance to like realize that it's not my fault, but I'll definitely work on that.
Yeah, that's very good. And it sounds like you have resources, you have your friends at school, you have that teacher you said you could talk to, and your swim coach sounds like a really good resource to keep talking with. And you're always welcome in my office. It's a safe space, and I hope you have a nice week.
Thank you, you too.